What if I told you that the loudest, most confident person in the room isn't actually the smartest? Today we're going to dig into the real signs of intelligence, and trust me, they have almost nothing to do with test scores. Let's dive in.
So let me just throw this out there right at the beginning. What if our whole idea of intelligence, IQ tests and grades, completely misses the mark? What if the real signs are hidden in how you think, how you feel, and even in how you deal with being wrong?
Okay, first things first. We have to bust this huge myth that smart people are the ones who seem to know everything, the ones who are just radiating confidence. The truth? Well, it's often the exact opposite.
And this brings us to this really fascinating thing in psychology called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Basically, it explains why someone who, say, watched a couple of YouTube tutorials on something suddenly thinks they're an expert. It's a cognitive bias where the less you know, the more you think you know. Sound familiar at all?
But here's the really wild part of this effect. Psychologists call it the double burden. See, it's not just that you don't have the skill. It's that your lack of skill also makes you completely unaware of your own blind spots. You literally, truly don't know what you don't know.
And check this out. This chart just lays it out perfectly. Over on the left, you see people with very low actual skill. But look at their confidence. It's through the roof. Then on the right, you have the true experts, and they're actually a bit more humble. Why? Because they know enough to realize just how much there is to know. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's a skill called metacognition. It's a fancy word, but all it means is thinking about your own thinking. It's that ability to step outside of yourself for a second and ask, wait, what do I actually know here, and where are the gaps?
And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? A real sign of intelligence isn't having a huge ego, it's having a huge sense of curiosity. It's the strength to say, you know what, I'm not sure, let's go find out, instead of just faking it.
This whole idea of self-awareness leads us perfectly into our next point. Just like real intelligence isn't about pretending to know everything, it's also not about being some kind of cold, calculating robot. It's time to bust the myth of the purely logical genius.
So there's this defense mechanism some of us use called intellectualization. It's what happens when we use all our brain power and logic to keep messy, uncomfortable feelings at arm's length. We end up thinking about our feelings, instead of just letting ourselves feel them.
Oh, I love this analogy. Intellectualizing is like being a wine expert who can tell you everything about the bottle, the vineyard, the weather that year, the type of grape, but they never ever actually pull the cork and taste the wine. You're missing the entire experience.
And you can really see the difference right here. Intellectualizing is analyzing emotions from a safe, sterile distance. But emotional processing, that's about actually allowing yourself to feel them. The sadness, the joy, the frustration. And that's not a weakness, you guys. It's data. Your emotions are trying to tell you something important.
And that information is so powerful. When you start to listen to your emotions instead of just analyzing them, you start to see patterns, you figure out what really drives you, and that leads to way better, way smarter decisions in the long run.
All right, let's move on to our third and final sign of hidden intelligence. This one is all about mental flexibility. We have this image of a smart person as someone who's super rigid, always certain they're right. But true intelligence, it's actually incredibly adaptable.
This connects to the idea of perfectionism. Turns out there are two kinds. On one hand, you have maladaptive perfectionism, which is this paralyzing fear of being wrong. But on the other hand, you have adaptive perfectionism. And this is what you see in a lot of gifted people. It's about having high standards, for sure, but seeing mistakes as learning opportunities, not as some kind of personal failure.
Now here's a huge sign of a really sophisticated mind. The ability to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. You can be ambitious and be content. You can believe that the world is both broken and beautiful. It's about embracing the gray area, instead of needing everything to be black and white. So what does a flexible mind actually look like? Well, it means that you're willing to unlearn things. It's realizing that old solutions might not work for new problems. It's knowing that the quality of your questions is way more important than the certainty of your answers. It's all about being able to bend without breaking.
And this quote from Einstein just nails it. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. See, real intelligence doesn't need to hide behind complicated words to sound smart. It has the depth and the flexibility to make complex things feel simple.
Okay, So let's bring this all together. After looking at confidence, emotion, and flexibility, it is so clear that our old school ideas about what it means to be a genius are seriously overdue for an upgrade.
So how about a new definition of intelligence? It's not some fixed score that you're stuck with for life. It's a dynamic, living set of skills you use to move through the world with awareness, with empathy, and with the flexibility to handle whatever life throws at you.
And you know, the best part is that these are all skills you can actually get better at. Start practicing metacognition. Just ask yourself, how do I know this is true? Let yourself actually feel your feelings. Don't just think about them. And finally, try to get a little more comfortable with contradiction and messiness. That's where all the interesting stuff happens.
So as you head back into your day, I want to lead you with this question. Which of these signs are you going to notice in yourself? Is it going to be the humility to say, I don't know? The courage to sit with an uncomfortable feeling? Or maybe the flexibility to see truth on both sides of an argument? You might just be surprised by how smart you really are.